Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? We have a lot to go through today, so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump into it. So I'm going to go I'm just going to randomly hit. We'll stop on one and begin there. All right, let's see where we go. And stop. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, Michal, how are we doing? All right, so we've got more key light on the character. That's looking great. The light is now back behind. I still want to see less, fewer of these God rays overall. Again, I'm seeing like lots of little shapes in there. I'd say whatever map you're using to break that up, let's just go ahead and just blur it a little bit, and that should do the trick. And still have something weird going on with the leaves over here on the screen, right hand side. Just would look into that if possible. Like again, it looks like it's just gray. It looks like there's either doubled up geometry or materials missing or something. Some wacky's going on in there. Might be a little bit down in here too. I see some like highlights, but that just might be highlights. And then back in there too, just some it looks like just some Maya default gray popping through from somewhere. So just keep an eye on that. Let's see. In terms of the environment lighting, it's getting much better. I like you're starting to feel the energy of the key light on the wall. That's feeling really good. I still think we could probably... Ooh, the shoes look really good down here. That's looking nice. But I still feel like we could probably pump up a little bit more bounce light. Again, like, if you've ever been... Like, next time you're standing out in a bright, sunny patch, or looking at reference in a bright, sunny patch like this, you're going to recognize how powerful the sun is and how much the light's kind of bouncing up. Again, the fill value looks good here on her face. I would just fill in right around her eye. Like, that area is getting a little bit dark. It almost looks bruised. So you just kind of want to clean that up a little bit. I would darken inside the door there. Just that little bit would be helpful. Just to create, because it's a little bit too consistent with the lighting outside the wall. And it just looks like this continuous line in here just kind of feels like it's kind of breaking the spatialness of it. It makes it look flat, basically. That is the main thing on her. On him, I would kind of expect a little bit more rim light on this side of him now that I'm looking at it, because all the light's coming up here on him, and so I just see a little bit more on his back, and it looks like all of it's kind of coming in down here. It almost looks like it's wrapping around a little bit too much around him, so I would just take a look at that. Also, something weird that's going on here that makes it feel a little bit two-dimensional is it's like dark over here, and then bright right between his legs. Find out what's causing that brightness, and I would just either, put a light blocker in there or something to kind of tone that out, so it's not a weird bright patch. It's just between his two calves there. Yeah, I think we'll go with that for now. There's also weird bits of black in his hair. I would just try and lift those up a little bit too. But this is starting to come together a lot. And then also check your ray depth bounces. I'm just looking at this glass back here. Not there. There. And you see how it's very black? Sometimes that happens because this is, the ray depth of this is it needs to come in the one side of the glass, bounce, maybe it reflects off another one, and then go out. So what happens is if that ray depth is turned down to 1 or 2, is it'll go in, pass through something, hit something, and then just kind of die. And that can result in a black image. So I'm surprised we're not seeing more refraction of the stuff around it. So just something to be aware of there. All right, cool. Miguel, let's take a look. All right, cool. It's a long animation. 13 seconds is a long, long shot. So, overall, the structure's pretty good. I like that you're layering light over dark. I like the pink box complementing her green sweater. I think the biggest thing for me, and this is the endless struggle of, because I would call this a shot with very little propagation, very little set pieces. So, I can see this big wall, which is the majority of the screen real estate in this shot. And then you've got a chair and like 2 chairs, table, 2 plants, right? That's not doing you any favors. And the bricks are lovely too. But the problem is that there's no, there's a little bit of darkening down here towards the bottom, but there is no variation from the screen left to the screen right side until we get to about here. All of that other stuff is pretty consistent. So I would almost consider allowing some form of key light to hit on there, and then use either a gobo light or just smart positioning of shadows or whatever to kind of shape it up a little bit, because just having that large flat surface is going to be a bit of a struggle. Now, this potted plant in the lower right, this looks good. Like, that's good shaping on that. I would just like to see a little translucency on the leaves themselves, so a little bit of light passing through the leaves. That's looking good. I mean, everything else is looking good. It's just a matter of getting some light back there in that far background one. For the character, her necklace is a little bit glowy. It almost looks like it's emitting light, I should say. It looks a little emissive. Also, inside her mouth is very bright, especially the inside of her cheek there. That keeps kind of popping up in these handful of frames. Her lighting also feels, it's tough to tell, but it might be a little bit consistent throughout. Like, I guess that's okay. I was just thinking, like, I would expect to see more dynamic light with her bouncing around a little bit. Like, as she gets closer, you'd feel, especially with how saturated that pink box is. I'm expecting to see a lot of, especially at the very end, when she's like hugging that box. Yeah, I would expect to see a lot more pink bounce light from this box up on her face. Because that is a strong, saturated color, and then where her face is. Some other little things. So if you want bonus points, like more detail on this box, like company, some logo, some branding, something that indicates what's going on in there, other than, like, it just kind of looks like a pastry box on the outside, but, like, if she doesn't know what it is, then allow it to be a present and, like, put a bow on it or something too. But just a box by itself, I think, could use a little bit more detail. And same thing with the table, as with the wall. Like, put a little gobo light in there. Indicate that there's something on the table over here, maybe, or something, just to kind of break up those shapes a little bit. It's not quite as consistent. And then, yeah, we'll start from there. But this is a really really good start. The great thing about this shot, as again with those background notes, is you could literally paint the background, because her shadow doesn't cast back there. The only thing that you need to render every frame for is her, the box, and the table, right? Potted plant, like, nothing back there is influenced by what's going on in the animation. So you can literally just lock that off, and you can save yourself a ton of render time that way. So a nice one there. All right, cool. Oh, and then I should have said this too. This is a reference that you put up. Forgot to mention this as well. The contrast between these two is very different. Like, the amount of fill light in here versus the amount of key light there. This key light it feels like, if you look down here, this key light feels brighter compared to the shadows. Like, it's just a lower key to fill ratio on this, which is fine. This feels a little bit, like shot in raw, and then just didn't push up the total contrast all the way up. Like, you can see the sky's a little bit clamped. It's just a different look. So if you want to go for this, that's totally fine. But another thing, and I always mention this, but especially in these bright scenes, is make sure you add a little diffusion to it as well. So, I have a part of the course that mentions this, but I'll do it in just the part of the course that talks about diffusion. And you'll add how to do it in Nuke, but you can also do it just here in Photoshop. But it's basically the same. You make a copy of the layer. Oh, it's not letting me do it because it's a video clip. I'll do it back here on this one. So we've got this. So basically, okay, make a copy of the layer. You just want to blur it. And again, regardless of how you're compositing this will work in any program. And then basically you either want to add it back in or screen it back in. They're same, they're both an additive process, except for screen caps off the highest whites. And then you just kind of want to dial this in a little bit. And this one, like this one, the color's a little bit cool, so I would push up the warmth on this a little bit more. And then give it a little something like that. Just to kind of fill in, like creates a little bit of that. This is very strong. I probably wouldn't go that high with it. Maybe somewhere more in this-ish region. But just something to give like a little bit of warmth and glow and softness to the overall shot would be good. A little lens effect action there. All right, Mohammad, let's take a look here. So this is the structure of this is feeling pretty good. Little bit too strong on the damage on that box. I like where your head's at, but it's just a little bit stronger than everything else. So I would just pull that back a little bit. Let's take a look at this. So it's same thing, just to keep it kind of similar to that last one that we were just talking about. Let's do it this way. Just going to take a screen grab of this so I can get into still, so I can actually do some photo editing on it. Amazing. That's exactly what I was looking for. All right, let's just see. There we go. All right, let's try that again. All right. All copy new. Yes. Copy this. There we go. Okay. So looking at this. Okay. So let's talk about it. So I mentioned the box back here. For the characters, again, really like where her skin level is in terms of the specularity and the roughness. I still feel like he's a little bit on the muted side, and I would just basically just match what you got going on with her. Her skin looks great. So we'll start there. And then in terms of just like the overall shot, let me just tweak this around a little bit. So basically I would do that because it's feeling a little bit like a little bit murky, and kind of like a little gray. So I would just I'm just upping the contrast a little bit and lifting the midpoints just up a little bit higher, and then let's see, go ahead and take down some of the saturation, specifically in the reds, because once you do that, it kind of pushes the saturation up a little bit higher too. I would also consider, let's do this. I'm just going to push. We're just going to do a janky way of doing this. I'm actually going to push a little bit more brightness and contrast here in the foreground over the background. It's a little bit much, but something along those lines. Again, this is just a rough mock-up. And then for the background here, just take that down a little bit more. Just kind of get them to stand up, but keeping those brights, keeping those high points about the same, so it all feels like it's roughly in the same space. And then, yeah, I would find a way to slightly darken this screen right side, and again, just being as janky as I possibly can be here. Let's just go ahead and just paint it in. Just to kind of help like center everything in, and then what I would then do again, and same thing like with the other ones, Just going to flatten this down. And then what we can do, again, copy it, put it on top, add, 8-pixel blur. This is kind of a smaller resolution, but you'll get the idea. Screen it over the top, drop that down. And same thing with this one. Again, anything with like, sunny day type lighting, I tend to kind of warm it up just a little bit just to get that going. Just to kind of create that like bright sunny aura. And then I'll go ahead and take it out again of these areas that we want to keep a little bit darker. Ooh. And then the characters here, we'll just put that in there too. Okay. All right, great. So this is very rough, but something along this structure a little bit more. And we'll flatten this down again. And now I'll just take a look at kind of where we started to where we are now. And so it's just a matter of like now's the time to like go do a passive color grading, and just kind of seeing where we are and then pushing it from there. So a lot of that stuff can be done in the comp, but yeah, that's kind of the direction I would take this as in terms of the overall color and everything. All right, Supraja, we got a few submissions here from you. Let's see. We'll start where you started. So I've got start here. So let's take a look at the reference. Cool, love the colors. It's a fun reference. And it's welcome to the class. I should say that as well. It's very good to have you here. So what are we looking at here? We got a red sky. We've got tungsten interior lights, kind of spilling out on the street, like hitting these guys with little rim lights and all that kind of stuff. Same thing, doing a lot of that. Like they got the light color working well for the key light. What I would like to see from the red overall is kind of like a skylight, kind of a sky dome that's getting into everything. You don't feel it that strongly in here. It's actually the light that ends up kind of coming down is more purpley. So yeah, maybe, you've kind of got that going. It's just that this is like the contribution of red light in here feels a little bit stronger than what we were seeing in the other one. The other one is, and also the shadows are very crisp. This time of day, and you can see it here, sun is very, very, very low in the sky. It's passing through a lot of atmosphere. You're not going to get that many crisp shadows. So just increase the light radius there to soften those up. Make sure there's coils on the ground. It feels like it's floating a little bit. And then the one thing that you want to watch out for is that all of the rim light on all of these are coming from the screen right side. Like they're all favored this way towards these light sources. This one kind of gets it around that side a little bit, but everything is pretty much the lights coming this way at it. So I would just do that with all of your like little rim lights on all these guys. And some of these are getting a little bit too frontal, like here, wrapping around here, this one too. So just kind of keep them to like really their job is to pick up the profile of what they're doing, and then you can take these down as well. But yeah, and then the shadow direction. Let's take a look at that. So these shadows are all spilling out this way. So it looks like your shadows are going opposite way coming back. So I would just kind of flip them around there. This line's got out of control, but you get the idea. All right, number 2. You got this guy with this reference. Love this reference. This is really beautiful. Oh, by the way, you had some questions. One was about subsurface scattering. So what is subsurface scattering? It's basically any surface that has the ability for light to pass through it. The classic example is like ears. You can see it being used in Mohammad's shot. So if we play it out, I'm seeing it in the characters. I thought I saw it in the shot. Maybe it was in an earlier version. Let's take a look. Got my Discord here. Where'd she go? There she is. Yeah, okay. So this is in a much earlier version of this. You'll see it's too much here, but you can see that the light passing through the ear. So anytime that, like, think about anything where there's being light behind it, and the light is able to scatter into the surface and eject out the other side. So anything from grapes to gummy bears to skin to anything that's like a soft, fleshy surface, again, that light can penetrate and bounce around on the inside there. The times that you should use it are when you're trying to mimic that type of material. It's not a default that needs to be added to everything because it's a high calculation and it's not the juice isn't always worth the squeeze. But you can see it here, like the way that the light's able to pass into her nose, a little bit into her mouth. I bet the way that this character's built, you'd see some on the ear if it was rear lit. But that kind of idea of light passing through something. Okay. Oh, and then there was one other question. Oh, it was about the black shadows in the other one. We'll get to that. Okay, so this shot is a pretty straightforward, super soft, like no hard shadow in the whole thing. We've got kind of darker green light, secondary green light coming in this way, warmer red light coming in this way. It kind of separates right down the middle of her face, a little bit brighter on this side than this side. It's pretty straightforward in terms of like that approach. This one, it feels a little, well, first off, the color of the light feels a little bit more orange than red. Let's take a look. Again, we've got green, yeah. The balance is about right, like in terms of like where the separation is happening. Like I'm just looking at the sphere, and imagine this sphere is the head of the character. In fact, if you really want, I would, just to match the composition of this, just take out everything else, like literally to get rid of all of this other stuff and just make the sphere bigger in the frame. And then try and match that same fall off from left to right, a little bit darker this side, a little bit brighter that side. Just try and get that like roll off of value. You're not going to be able to get these kind of specular highlights that we're seeing up in here, just because the texture is not built for that. It also doesn't have like a roughness map to get those kind of glimmers. So don't worry so much about that. But it's really about just getting that light to dark fall off. And if you want bonus points, blur out the background too, so it's just like a nice balance over there. So, so that's pretty much how I would do that one. All right, number 3, got this guy. Okay, this is where you're asking about the dark shadows. Let me make sure I'm understanding this one right. What is subsurface? Why and how should we use it? And the how. There's if you want to know how to use it, there's in Jasmine's materials portion of the course, there's some lessons on how to use the subsurface scattering. How to make the black shadow in the background go away. So shadows aren't a thing. Like they are the absence of light. So if you want to lessen a shadow, you add more light to the scene. And again, it's all in structure. So how is that being lifted? How, is it, it's usually more, if you're outside, if it's an outside scene and you've got a sun and you've got your skylight, the only way you can make something lighter is to lighten one of those. Normally, if it's, again, a darker area, you lift the skylight color and do it that way. There is a setting called shadow color that allows you to artificially lift a light's shadow. I never recommend doing that unless you're doing something more abstract or stylized, just because that's not how light functions. And it's really, once you do that, it's really hard to maintain believability in a shot because it always just looks and feels a little bit off. All right. So in terms of this one, these two are posted together along with this reference. So I'll just take them to mean that they both were utilizing this one. This one feels a little more straight on. Actually, this one feels more like the... this one actually might have been that, now that I think about it. Let's see. No, different. Okay, so saying like that. This one actually would be a good shot to do that reference. Just watch out for the black space here. You don't want to ever like feel like it's that we're seeing the edge of the world. So just make sure that you just put something down there. And then I'm not quite sure how to critique this based on that, because it's just like it's a little bit of a different position. Again, you've got this stick emanating emitting light around here. So that's going to be kind of underneath and up around. And then this huge white light is what's going to cause like a rim like almost all the way around uniformly. So I would say that you would, just put a cylinder in here and have it emit some light to really feel that. And then this light, again, would really kind of wrap all the way throughout because it would be that broad. I don't think it stops really anywhere. You can see it under the arm, under here, under these knuckles, all the way down the side. Yeah, like it's a pure kind of total rim light situation going on. And then for this one, same deal. That light source is massive. And so again, you can either do it as like multiple lights or as one, but same basic idea. And then have something. This light, you can see the reflection is kind of up above too. I would put that down below because that's what's selling the mood and the emotion of this one, right? This is the character's evil monkey person thing, warrior, and that underlighting is really what's selling at. Also, check the color. This one feels a little bit more on the orangey side. And this feels like just like a pure red, especially coming out of the eyes and all that. It's like pure red light on there. So I would just try and match it up a little bit. But as first renders, really great job, and keep going. You're doing very well. All right, we've got the back alley here from you. I think that let's step back. I think this looks quite good. I would. The only thing that I would say is that it feels a little bit matte. I just want to see a little bit more reflection and stuff in here. Let's also just try something too, just to kind of. Again, I'll try. I'm like obsessed with this one today, but I'm gonna go ahead and try my softening trick on this as well. I'm going to do that twice actually, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and actually bake a little bit more contrast in foreground there. Push that up just a little bit. And then I'll take this and then I'll blur that up. Add that back over the top. So go way down. And then eliminate it from these shadowy areas. Just so it kind of hits a little stronger in the sunlight. So this is how these would be something along these lines would be my final tweaks on this. Just to kind of the contrast might be a little strong, but just to kind of push and pull those values to really, really kind of center it up. It's just feeling a little bit dusty, and this just adds a little more punch to it. But that's just me. But yeah, overall, I think this is really good. Again, I love, do you see how successful the little bits of area where we're getting some specular highlights, especially on these signs? And then on these plastic bags and stuff, there's just more opportunities for that in here. And just that level of detail will really push this to the next level. So I'm talking in this awning, on this grate, back here a little bit. Anywhere, maybe there's a puddle down in here or something. Anywhere that you're in the shadows and you want to feel a little bit more of that specular highlight kind of stuff. But overall, like I said, this is really, really stunning stuff. So really beautiful stuff. All right, and then last up, we have Jenty here. All right, cool. So structure-wise, this is looking really good. Your colors are really good. I think this... Let me go back to your reference, because I'm just seeing this patchy, kind of yellowy color in there. Let's see that reference. It might be in the reference. Because I remember there was... Yeah, it never really gets that kind of yellowy core center. There, lost it. There you go. It's really kind of a warm orangey color, and then it becomes from the base, and then it comes up to the blue. So I think that I would do that back there. So again, just warmer orangey, and then up around here, it transitions up into this blue color up there. Good job with the tree. It's making, compositionally, it's making more sense. Biggest thing for me is just that this feels low res. It's only 686 pixels by 449. Go ahead and fire this guy up. Let's kick it. Let's see it. Let's see it. Around a 2K image or even higher. Like I said, if you're just doing a still, I mean, go crazy with it. Because again, I want to see a little bit more in these details. I want to just check them a little bit. It's a little fuzzy, and then. If it was anything else, I would say the saturation on the green jewel on the door is a little bit strong, but I think that's actually looking pretty good. The other thing I'm looking at, there's some like yellow-green elements on these vines. It's almost like a moss or something on there. Let's check the reference again. I'm not really seeing. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like there's like this is like it's all kind of worn. I think. It almost looks like an old bruise type of color, right through there, kind of in there. It might just be from the JPEG quality, but just double check yourself on that because that feels a little bit like I really just like the color palette of the reference and just staying in those nice warms and the cools, and you've got so much of that already. It's just a matter of pulling out a little bit of those yellows as well. All right, well that is all for today, y'all. I hope you enjoyed your Wednesday, and I will see you back again on Friday. All right, be good. Happy lighting, everyone.